Star Wars Hunters Season 1 is coming to a close, so in today's video I wanted to reflect on the season just a little bit, as it's not something I feel like I've really spoken about too much, and then also just offer some ways in which I think a season can be improved going into Season 2 and beyond. But before I do get into that, make sure you are subscribed to the channel with the notification bell turned on to stay fully up to date with all things Star Wars Hunters. Now, with improvements in mind, I will say I'm actually very pleased with how this season has gone in terms of my overall enjoyment of the game and what it's actually been doing to keep me engaged. The game released on June 4th, and since then we've been getting a constant flow of limited time events to grind through, most of which do offer up some kind of cool little reward like a sticker or an avatar at the end of it, which whilst I may not necessarily use them too often, I do enjoy the grind for these nonetheless. And if an event reward is a cosmetic like a weapon wrap or a costume for a particular hunter, then I will absolutely be grinding my ass off to try and get them. So the incentives for events are definitely there for me. Now, we did also have that big clash event halfway through the season between Aaron and Amara Vex, which was good fun, and that's where I think the first improvement should go. The point of the clash event was to tell a bit of a story between these two hunters, which I think they did do quite nicely with the articles that they eventually linked into the game. And for those that read them, it is a fun little story to be told, but it wasn't actually particularly clear who was winning until they actually told us in game. And I feel like having some kind of clash progression meter in the event window itself would actually be really fun, because if you're team Amara and you can actually see that you're losing, then you may actually want to play more, or you'll say something in the community somewhere, whether that's on socials or Discord or Reddit, to try and encourage your team to actually play a bit more. So I feel like that's the missing thing with this clash event, is there's not a huge amount of community engagement. For the most part, it is just another event, and actually hiding the winner of the event until they actually announce it could mean that Zynga could just say that he won for the sake of the story, which is absolutely fine, but I think putting it into the hands of the players and showing us some kind of progress bar would be a lot more engaging. So hopefully we can see some kind of improvement on that in the future. Now, I also feel as though there's been a pretty good mix of limited time modes. Matchup mix-up has been rotated in quite a lot of times though, which is fine, but it isn't anything too exciting, and I feel as though the mode should go back to how it was during the soft launch, where not only do you get assigned a random hunter, but you also get assigned a random skin for that particular hunter that you play as, because I feel like that was always good fun, and it might even entice players into spending money on the game if they play as a particular cosmetic that they really like but don't currently own. Or if they don't do it that way, then at least just have it so that any hunter you play as, you use the cosmetic that you currently have equipped for that hunter. Groz's Boulder Bash and more recently Hutball have been really fun limited editions though, so I am hoping they do many more silly limited time modes like Boulder Bash, and then also just reintroduce Hutball as a full-time permanent mode, as it was for the majority of the game's soft launch. And now that the game has permanently launched, I think it's the perfect opportunity to do so. Now, in terms of content, obviously the game has only just released, so Season 1 not getting any new mid-season content absolutely makes sense to me, and as a soft launch player, I'm used to having no content added mid-season or anything like that, and in fact just waiting 3 to 4 months until the next big update happens. But now that the game has fully released, having Season 1 with just one new hunter and one new map, and of course the Arena Pass as normal being the big new content for us, was absolutely fine, but I feel like more could possibly be done going forward. Like I said, with it being launched, I totally get it. The game is new for so many people, and there's so much work for people to be able to actually do on the game. And with all the limited time modes and the mid-season clash event, perhaps we don't need any mid-season content whatsoever, but I can't help but feel like if we got a brand new permanent map or a new game mode mid-season, that would actually encourage a lot of people to come back and play the game even a few weeks down the line, because some people might feel that they've already done most of the things they can. So adding a new map or mode might get people to play for a couple extra weeks, or if it's something that they really like, then it might actually keep them playing for longer. Now, early on with Season 1, 2, maybe even 3, that might not be too much of a necessity, because people will still have plenty of hunters to level up, a lot of the quest lines still to complete perhaps, and of course the Arena Pass and all the limited time mode events that happen each week will probably be enough to keep people playing, but certainly further down the line that is something that I think will need to be looked at. Call of Duty do it quite well though, in my opinion. At the start of a new season they'll introduce new weapons and maps, but then halfway through the season they'll introduce even more, and they will state that on the roadmap. So if let's say Season 2 comes out and reintroduces Hutball as a permanent mode with its currently 2 maps, and a new map comes to the other 4 modes in the game as they all use the same map, then halfway through the season we could potentially see a third map added to Hutball, for example, and then the same goes for Escort, that also uses its own completely unique maps. So if that becomes permanent, you could add a map for the other modes at the start of the season, and then a new map for that mode halfway through. And I feel like things like that could honestly go a long way for a lot of players. So I think seeing mid-season content would be a really good thing. Now I certainly wouldn't expect to see a new hunter as mid-season content, especially since they're seemingly going to be tied to the arena pass only, but we will just have to wait and see. But I certainly think maps and potentially new game modes as mid-season content would be amazing. I'm curious to see what you guys think though. Season 1 I do think was pretty good, but I do think they need to be able to mix it up and not be afraid to put in a little bit of extra content here and there going forward, especially if they want to keep players engaged for longer periods of time. But that is it from me today. Let me know what improvements you'd like to see for seasons in the future in the comments below. Thank you all very much for watching, and may the force be with you always.